Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
All right, everyone, welcome to today's ASRG webinar. But before we get started, I'd like to tell you a little bit about ASRG and get some of the legal stuff out of the way. ASRG is a nonprofit organization founded to support the development of the automotive security industry. We have developed a platform and a community to share knowledge, communicate through networks, and to build value with collaboration. This is a community for you, built by you, with the goal to protect our friends and family when using automotive products. If you want to learn more about ASRG or get more involved, please visit our website at www.asrg.io or send us an email at hello@asrg.io. Before we jump into the presentation today, let's get some of the legal stuff taken care of. The views and opinions expressed in this webinar are the views of those that have made them. They do not represent views or opinions of ASRG and are to be considered as informational. The use of this information is to be used by the individual and or organization at their own risk. All right, I think we are live. Welcome everyone to this week's ASRG webinar. My name is John Heldreth. I'm the founder of the Automotive Security Research Group, and I'm really happy you're here today. Today is December 9th, 2025, and our topic is one that's on everyone's mind right now: AI use cases in automotive cybersecurity engineering. Over the next hour, we're going to move past the hype and look at real practical ways AI is being used in automotive security, specifically automotive security, from engineering workflows and vulnerability management to testing, incident response, and everything in between. I'm joined today by two fantastic guests. We have Dirk Leopold and Andreas Graf from itemis, who both work hands-on with cybersecurity and AI in the automotive space. We will be discussing what is working, what isn't, where are we, where do we see things going next. But before we dive in, quick note, the views and opinions expressed in this session are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the official opinion of ASRG or any of our guests. So I'd like to also quickly thank our sponsors, including itemis, who is a sponsor of ASRG, and actually I think was one of the first ones to sponsor ASRG since 2017, 2018, something like that, when we were sitting in maker spaces, hacker spaces in Stuttgart. So I need to thank them for making these types of community events possible and helping us keep ASRG open and accessible to all of the people that need this type of information. And that includes you, the engineers, the researchers, and enthusiasts around the world. So a bit of housekeeping. We are recording this session. It will be available afterwards, just like all the ASRG material. And it's going to be on the ASRG YouTube site. So check it out, subscribe, follow, blah, blah, blah. We will use the chat. So please feel free to add messages in the chat. If you have questions, we're going to ask questions at the end. So you'll see a little Q&A panel. Just drop your questions in there as we go along. And then at the end, I will relay them over to our guests. You can also upvote and downvote, so check it out. Then also, we will have some polls. I want to see who's using AI, where's it going, where do you think it's going? Let's make this interactive. It's not a single direction conversation. So I think that's about it. But anyways, let's go ahead and start. Dirk, Andreas, welcome to the webinar. Thanks for joining us today. I think it's probably good that you quickly introduce yourselves. Tell us, your position, where you're joining us from, what you do with AI, and maybe your favorite car or something like this. I would hand it over to Dirk first of all.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, John. Yeah, I'm Dirk Leopold. I joined itemis about 10 years ago, and that was also about the time where I started looking into automotive cybersecurity. And I think shortly after you started ASRG, and we had pizza and discussions and talks. Yeah, so it's really fun looking back. Yeah, so it's been a long time. Yeah, so and looking at automotive cybersecurity, there are many areas. You mentioned testing and you mentioned vulnerability management, but where we basically started was looking into threat analysis and risk assessment. So we'll probably talk about this later and what it has to do with AI, but this was the starting point. But now I mean, looking at optimizing a small section is probably one of the learnings. It's not enough to optimize one part of cybersecurity, but you have to have a more holistic view. This is also where it becomes complex and where maybe AI can help. My favorite car, I mean, my favorite car is probably the car that I drive right now and have been driving for even longer that I deal with automotive cybersecurity. So it's a Skoda Superb, which has like plenty of room. Yeah, you can pack like tons of stuff in it. And it's a diesel engine, so has been very reliable for the past 275,000 kilometers. Still going strong, but I'm going to get a new car next week, so a second car, which will be an EV, so a battery electric vehicle, also from the Volkswagen Group. It's going to be a Cupra Tavascan. So I'm going to try out what electric feels like, and it's like probably 2 generations between those cars at least. Yeah, from a model that has been designed 15 years back to a new EV. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's not that it's getting boring, but the new car is always a cool thing. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it, especially in the combination with it being an electric vehicle. I'm gonna figure out if that works for me or not. And maybe both is good. Yeah, maybe it's like a hybrid model, but on 2 cars. So I have a diesel for long distance where I need plenty of space, and everything 100 kilometers plus is then maybe electric. I'm going to try it out, and maybe in the next call I can let you know what my experience is.
And of course, you know, you get finally a connected car where security plays a much larger part in that as well. Maybe also AI.
So, yeah, exactly. I mean, all my updates, like my navigation system updates, I had to use an SD card. Yeah, so that feels pretty secure in the sense that no one can interfere with that. But with cars being online, it's a whole different scenario looking at security.
There's a threat model for everything, right? It's security. Anything is hackable. Doesn't matter. It just takes a different time and effort. So thank you, Dirk. We're going to jump over to Andreas now. Andreas, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're coming from, and of course, which car you enjoy the most.
Yeah, thanks, John, for having us. So I'm Andreas. I've been working in the automotive industry, I think almost 30 years now, and I have a strong focus on departments that do PMT, so processes, methods, and tools. So I started out with UML for automotive and did a lot of tooling for AUTOSAR, helped define the AUTOSAR standard, and joined itemis like 18 years ago, I guess, because I wanted to have the opportunity to work for a variety of companies, and been working on tooling projects for almost any OEM here in Europe with itemis, and quite diverse types of projects that we did. And why I'm here related to AI. So I was always interested in like natural language processing and processing requirements, and also did experiments with that like 12 years ago, and with the libraries in Perls, and that really sucked. It didn't really give any cool results. But like 6 years ago, we decided we need to have a look more into AI, basically because our customers were building AI-based systems, And we also expected that AI would influence the tooling and the development process itself. And so like for 6 years, I've been building up a team doing AI here on 2 tracks: AI for embedded, optimizing AI for embedded or cyber-physical systems, and also using AI for the processes, methods, tools, so improving AI for the development process. My focus is on tools in general, so not only on the security aspects or security tools, but also traceability requirements, tools, etc. And yeah, well, quite interesting developments that we certainly will discuss. Favorite car, around 2004 edition of BMW Z4. So I think, yeah, to me that's still one of the most elegant car designs for a convertible. So had the opportunity to drive it for a while working at BMW. Unfortunately for my life situation, it's too impractical. So I'm driving like Dirk. I'm driving a Skoda hatchback. But if I had the choice, I would really enjoy driving that car again.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I always thought BMW is a driver's car. Mercedes is a car I want to sit in the back of.
Yeah.
So don't tell Mercedes that.
Yeah.
That's
all right, guys.
Especially important for the Chinese market, right? That's unique. Yeah. That's where more legroom there.
I mean, the Chinese market is doing. We're not going to discuss this today because this can be a whole podcast by itself. But I really love some of these Chinese cars that are coming out and really innovative stuff. I mean, really challenging the other markets to make sure that they're staying competitive. So just quickly, I'm John Heldreth, ASRG. I've been the founder and pushing this topic since when it started, 2016 now. It's almost 10 years. Can't believe it. Unfortunately, I made my wife a promise when I started this whole thing that I said, as long as we continue to bring value, we're going to keep doing this. Well, unfortunately, we're doing it, I think, good enough where we still continue to bring value and deliver that to the community. So, you know, guys and gals, this is all for you. You know, the more information that we have as engineers, as penetration testers, as hackers, you know, the more information we have, the better we can build secure products. So just quickly from my side, I mean, I have to be honest, one of my favorite cars right now is probably the Rivian. I like the R1S. I'm a little biased because maybe I do work for that car company. I can't, you know, say yes or no there, but if you don't know what the Rivian is, check it out. It is coming to a store near you in the near future. But anyways, let's get on with the topic. This is an interesting topic that we have today. The current states of automotive and AI, and where are we right now? What are we doing? We know AI is a topic that every person is discussing. It doesn't matter if it's a washer, a dryer, a freaking dishwasher. Everything is AI enabled these days. And so I think it's important to talk about what's the current status. Where are we right now? Before we start getting into where are we going and the best use cases. So Dirk, I'll probably hand it over to you. Can you tell us from your point of view what the current status is and where some of the main challenges are right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me try that. So I fully agree. We find AI everywhere, and depending on the task, AI can take over. Like with one prompt, the complete problem and solution. Yeah. So if you need to create something or need to research something, sometimes one prompt is enough to get you from this is my problem to this is the solution. And I don't think it works like this in automotive cybersecurity, because it's a complex problem. And just to get a sense of how complex that is, if you just look at this process of threat analysis and risk assessment alone, which is only a small section of automotive cybersecurity. So the TARA work in itself is already a multi-stepped, different angle process. And just to get into some detail so we understand where AI can help. So if you look at the threat analysis and risk assessment, the first thing is you have to do is to define what you actually want that TARA to do for, because you don't do this for an entire vehicle, you do that for a certain portion of the vehicle. That's maybe it has to do with a multimedia system, or maybe it has to do with the steering, or maybe it has to do with a different part of the system. So you have to define that. Then you have to define what kind of damages could happen if certain aspects of that solution get compromised. And again, you have to go very into the detail, because it's not like a general damage, but you have to go down to a functional level and a data level, and ask yourself the question: what happens if the availability of a certain function is compromised, or what happens if the confidentiality of a certain set of data is compromised? So what kind of damage does it lead to? Does it lead to financial damage? Does it lead to safety damage? So is the health of the passenger or any one of the other participants in traffic at risk? So there is no global, oh, it's dangerous or not, but you really have to go down to very specific aspects. And the same applies to how a car can be attacked. So there's no general, oh, this car is easy to attack. No, you have to understand. Let's say you want to compromise the confidentiality of a certain data set. Very often there are multi-leveled individual steps to get there. So you have to do sometimes 5, 6, 8 steps in order to get to that particular data that you are interested in. So it's very detailed work. And that is also what makes it so challenging, because if you start with a TARA, you basically start with an empty sheet, yeah, and you have to get started somehow. Or maybe you already know what you're looking at, so the function with the components and the data flows, but then you ask yourself, okay, what can go wrong? What's the damage? Again, you start with an empty sheet. And this is probably where AI can help, because it's very scary to start with empty sheets. But AI knows, or at least you can teach it, what you did in the past, what your colleagues did in the past, what maybe general knowledge about automotive architectures are, what kind of general threats we see, and what kind of damage this is associated with. And the same applies to how can something be attacked. Yeah, so there are many, there's a huge data set out there about successful attacks in the past, or even theoretical attacks more on the vulnerability level. So pulling all this data in and helping with performing individual steps better and more intuitively. Think of it as a co-pilot, yeah, co-pilot for TARA, where I can ask questions or I can get suggestions, but broken down still into individual steps. And why I think this is important, because later you need to explain why you come to a certain conclusion. Because if you think action needs to be taken, let's say you need to implement a control, or you need to update a certain piece of software, this is always involved with effort and with costs. So you later want to justify exactly why you went for that update, or why you went for a hardware or software-based control. So explaining why you did something and how you came to a certain conclusion also requires you to break it down into separate steps, because explainability, we all know that, is also one of the weak points of AI. So giving a global question, getting a global answer, and then not being able to explain why you came to that conclusion is not where we want to end up. So we still want to understand the process. We still want the human in the loop being able to look at every recommendation or every suggestion, being able to overrule it, intervene, but still overall be a lot more efficient and faster to get to the end result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you're exactly correct. I mean, Tara is one of the most, I would say, one of the biggest part of the effort, right? Of understanding your risk, identifying that, and not only this human aspect, when you have multiple people doing multiple risk assessments, they all have a different opinion, a different competency set that all gets mixed into this this Terra. It all kind of, you could get results that are not repeatable and reproducible. And you kept talking about Copilot. I think Copilot is great. I hate to give Microsoft props, but Copilot, the name is a good way of mentioning it. We don't want AI in the driver's seat, right? We want it next to you, kind of supporting, being that supportive tool to bring or reduce the effort, especially in Tara situations, right? And
John, I think Copilot is I mean, you are saying we don't want the AI to be in the driver's seat. And Copilot, I think, is also good terms in order to manage expectations, basically. So right now we are in a phase where we still don't know how far the AI technology development will take us, basically. So there is huge progress, for example, in assisting / replacing programmers with AI, and there's a lot of hype around it. And then if you talk with people that are doing software in non-standard use cases, you find out, okay, it's not 100% automatic, basically, but still it can be a big help if used correctly. And I think that's also where Copilot is a good terms in doing expectation management. So we're also talking about smart assistants, etc., and always emphasizing or stressing that the AI supports the human right now, and not replaces them, especially let's say for the cases where AI hasn't seen as much data, for example, as it has by sucking code from GitHub, GitLab, etc. And there is, I think, a lot less available data for Taras, etc. So it's not a comparable situation. So even with our security situation, I would stress the Copilot or assistant functionality or position of AI.
Mm-hmm. And just a quick question: are you guys using AI in your daily business?
Yeah, definitely.
A lot.
So,
all right.
So basically, what we do, for example, like when we build tools or prototypes, I mean, we are and we have to explore the entire code building assistance or vibe coding tools that are out there. Some of it is very impressive. Some of it is very disappointing. So yeah, definitely, I would say AI. There is a talk. There's always discussions about will the AI bubble burst? And I mean, we are in a hype cycle, but I think I'm confident enough to say that it will stay. Basically, we will not be going back to manual work because it makes a lot of things easier. And so basically, we are using AI both for coding development, but also for other works like let's say overcoming writer's block for project reports or other documents or something. It's a real asset.
Yeah. I really think it's great as an assistant, right? You're doing the main thinking. If you need help preparing something, summarizing something, What did you forget? It's that person that's next to you in the co-pilot seat, which can hopefully help you ask the right questions. We do not put it in the decision loop right now, right? We don't let it create without supervision, stuff like this. So, I think it's a great tool, but that's it. It's a tool. We don't build it into ADAS systems. We don't build it in server thermal, shutdown, emergency, whatever. But there's good and bad use cases, and I think we're going to get more into the use cases. But Dirk, where are you using AI in your daily work?
I mean, personally, I don't do taras every day. Yeah, so I'm basically heading one of the divisions at itemis, digital engineering, and there's also a lot of conceptual work, and there's also sometimes legal questions, and there's helping with writing some text. Yeah. So I have really many areas, and we are in the process of thinking of creating something similar to ASRG, but for the Cyber Resilience Act part, and not TARA related, creating a non-profit organization in an EU country when you are not a lawyer. I think without AI, I would have given up already 3 times in the last 2 weeks. So it doesn't tell you what to do, but when you are on the path of getting somewhere, it helps you to remove many of those roadblocks a lot quicker, and you just won't give up. And I think now back to the TARA question or the automotive cybersecurity question. I mean, the situation that the industry is in with a lot of also cost pressure, competition, not sure where the market is going, and then there's some restructuring going on. Yeah, even security teams, some of the security teams in the various companies are not growing but shrinking. But at the same time, they have more work to do, and also that work that is not the one-time initial TARA, but also that continuous life cycle work. And if you are aware that you get like 100+ new vulnerabilities every day, and you have software and hardware, and you have like many different variants of your product, how do you know what vulnerability to look at? Which of the 120 vulnerabilities yesterday might be relevant for me, might have an impact on my risk level, and might force me to react? So that triaging of where should I put my focus? Yeah, how to do that with fewer people around the clock. And I think this is where AI can really help, because you can outsource some of these tasks in the same way I explain a junior cybersecurity analyst what to look at and which numbers to compare and which references to maybe take into consideration. I now can teach AI to do that for me, like that research work. I'm still maybe as a senior expert the one deciding which one to follow up on, but to get the groundwork and to do the basic filtering and to show similarities and this is really helpful. So I think AI and automation also go hand in hand very closely. I mean, we are in the process of AI enabling our products on the level that it can be easily integrated in AI automation. So you don't have to, let's say, hard code AI somewhere. But if you have model context protocol interface and you enable workflows, agentic workflows that can, basically it's like putting an engineering thinking process into an AI automated workflow, always with a supervision of what is each individual mini result, and being able to check it, but having someone do the groundwork, so you can look at a proposed action, but then look at it from an expert point of view. And I think this makes us very efficient. Yeah.
So I really like this topic, the automation, because actually I think AI is it's a little too early for us, at least for our industry. AI is a new technology that came out. We weren't quite done with our previous technology step. So for me, it was always like you have lean engineering, all these things back in the 1990s kind of helped us understand how to do more repeatable, reproducible work. We had very requirements management and process and all of this stuff, right? We put all this great effort into, I don't know if you guys remember DOORS, IBM or Rational DOORS. I don't know who invented that tool, but that was my nightmare. Anyways, so we put all this stuff together in requirements management. We built structures and all of this thing, which is the ground, the basis framework, the foundation for then automating later on. And for me, we didn't quite get all the way through that automation step. We did all the documentation. We know how a process goes, the inputs, the outputs, which competencies does someone need, and all these things. But we didn't iterate on that. We didn't get to that point where we say, listen, okay, now we have everything. It's all built in Excel or DOORS or whatever, these antiquated tools. And we didn't take that next step. No one thought about, well, we have everything in Excel or in a process management tool. Let's start to automate it. It's all there. Well, now we have AI coming in, and AI is actually enabling us to do this faster. I don't believe it's enabling us to do it at all, because there are automation frameworks out there, RPA and UiPath and all of these types of tools that enabled automation before. I just think we missed that phase in our technological, development. And now that we have AI, this is really fast tracking everything and pulling us through also the automation phase as well. So I think, yeah, Andreas, please go ahead.
So I think you have a point there. So one of the things is AI doesn't solve your problems by its own, because AI is operating on the data, and if the data is not in the foundation model, if you have hopefully your company has data that is not in the foundation models, because otherwise it would have been leaked, basically. So and to work on your data, it has to be high quality data. So that is step one. Even before automation, is having a good foundation of data. That is something. Yeah, I mean it's obvious, but it's still often not there. And that's for example, when we are asked in a customer setting, okay, how much return on invest can be leveraged? We've seen projects where the data was very good, and then you can leverage a lot. And then we have seen data where that's very bad, distributed, not synchronized, etc. And then it makes it much more difficult. On the other hand, I would also say I agree with the automation step, but on the other hand, I would like to add that, in my opinion, with the advent of the large language models, we have possibilities for automation that we didn't have before. Because what you were mentioning just now, like the requirements documents in DOORS, or what Dirk has been just mentioning, like the threat descriptions, etc. These are all documents that rely on human language. We haven't managed to have a formal notation for requirements so far. There is no formal, I mean, really not only a schema, but the semantic also formally described for threat attacks, as far as I know. So if we go in like behavioral descriptions or software architecture, we already have formal models where we can automate a lot, basically. And I think one of the promises or the new tools in the box that we have is with the more or less statistical methods of the large language models is that we have better tools now to process natural language. And that is where I would say, okay, I share your concern about not having automated, but I also would say that for many use cases that we can address now with LLM, it was basically impossible to do automation because the natural language processing was far from what we can do now.
I definitely agree with you, Andreas. I mean, we can probably talk about this all day, and I'd love to talk about the other topic that Dirk came up with is, you know, replacing people and talent and stuff like that. But I think we really want to get into some of the use cases that we're seeing in automotive cybersecurity, because this really is the interesting part of it. You know, everybody's talking about the technology, but you know, we have some experience about how to use AI in automotive cybersecurity today. What use cases do you believe are some of the best ones? You know, we're not going to put AI in decision places and so on, but I think let's just jump right into the use cases here. Who has a favorite use case that you guys would like to discuss? Andreas, do you have a use case?
I would say I have, let's say, in terms of more or less generic use cases. As I mentioned, I'm coming from the angle of general tooling. And so I was building tools for super complex, or tools that I used to manage super complex systems like automotive architectures, automotive board nets. Sorry, can you guys still hear me? Because my Windows driver here seems to do interesting stuff. I don't know if I'm being hacked in parallel here.
We can still hear you.
So basically, and these systems, as Dirk just mentioned with Tara, have the common characteristic that they are usually super complex systems. They have tools that are targeted for a certain audience, for specialists, and they need a lot of domain knowledge. And what's happening right now, that's one of my major focus points for all of these tools, to make these tools and the methodology more accessible. What does it mean? It means, for example, that when you want to find out something in your security analysis, or if you want to find out something in your AutoSAR model, you do not have to know the tool in detail anymore. You do not have to know the meta model and how everything is set up. You just say, okay, which thread applies to this ECU? And you type it. Maybe you just type it in your microphone, and the interface of these tools working on Taras, on security analysts, will get smaller or more user-friendly, because you do not have to know where to click anymore or which concepts to follow. Yeah. So that's the use case. And then for the editing, we will have the same thing, basically.
Yeah. And Andreas, I really like this because, you know, there's every day, you know, you're searching for, hey, I remember reading this somewhere. I remember that I've seen this somewhere. But you can't keep everything in your mind, right? You know, so making those connections about where something is and or where you learn something so you can go back and reference it. And now you just use natural language. You ask the model, if the model is trained with that, then say, hey, listen, I did see something about ISO 21434 regarding Terra. Can you answer me this? You know, and before you know it, you don't have to spend that time any longer searching for the source.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. I was just today I saw on LinkedIn, I saw a company that is building an AI assistant for AutoSAR tools, And anyone who worked with AutoSAR, especially basic software configuration, knows how horribly complex that can be. And you just have to tell it, yeah, please set the timing for that, and it finds it in the meta model. And I think that also very much applies to security tools, like security management tools, any kind of that. You need to know how it's called. And the nice thing is it's not a simple, let's say, like Google search, because we're having semantic search. You don't have to know the exact terminology. Basically, it will figure out based on semantic similarity what you're looking for. And then it also goes into the database with the new agentic or RAG-based AI based on the data that you have. And I think that will certainly change the user interfaces that we will have in the future.
All right. Andreas, thank you. Let's go to the next use case. Dirk, what do you got?
I think for me, the most exciting use case is not on the individual task level. So it's not about optimizing the TARA process. Let's say you want your target of evaluation. So what am I doing the TARA for? Of course, it's cool to take a screenshot of a PowerPoint presentation, throw it in an AI, and the AI gives you a model with components and functions and data flows. I mean, that's cool, but that's optimizing a small step. I think the real benefit of AI on a large scale could lie in breaking down the silos between the individual processes. So I have a TARA process where I get a sense of my initial risk level. And of course, I want to bring that risk level to an acceptable level so I don't endanger the driver and the road users. But that's only the starting point. So later I have a life cycle of a vehicle over 10, 15 years. I want to keep that vehicle safe. And what we do today is we do vulnerability management without going back to actually updating the TARA. So I'm doing kind of an out of context vulnerability management, trying to figure out what the new risk is. But ideally, I would, for every vulnerability that I identify as relevant, I should go back and really update my TARA. And this is not realistic to do today because worst case scenario, I have to compare two large Excel sheets, and no one has the time to do that. And in an ideal world where I fully understand that the dependencies between those processes, because they are done on a different level, I do a TARA on a design and a system level, and I do my vulnerability management on an SBOM level. So who connects these two worlds? And I think this is where AI can really help. I mean, you can also try to write some rules without AI, but then you are in the area of semantics. And if they are not named exactly the same thing, maybe my rules don't apply. So getting a connectivity on a semantic level between aspects and processes that are not linked today and link them with the help of AI, I think we can get a real efficiency boost and also a real increase in quality boost. Because I mean, how to manage the vast number of vulnerabilities every day and really be sure that I didn't miss out on anything. I think this is where I can really help.
And the TARA thing is really interesting for me because you're actually connecting and creating relationships between a lot of different data points, right? And I think that's one of AI's really possible things is creating relationships, between damage scenarios, between threat scenarios, attack paths, attack steps, and so on. So I really think that's a great one. And I think we're going to see a lot of people developing some tools. I'm sure not only itemis in the future, but AI assisted like threat cataloging, all of this type of stuff. But, we have other activities in the Terra as well. I think there's, creating the relationship between damage scenarios and the threat scenarios. And ultimately, I love to use AI to check as a quality check. Like, I'll send a risk assessment or a Tara into AI and say, hey, listen, ask me questions about this, or tell me what I missed that you believe is significantly relevant.
Mm.
So great opportunities here in Tara to increase the quality and reduce the time. I think this is what we're trying to do with AI for everything, is increase the quality, reduce the time, make it repeatable, reproducible, and so on.
Yeah.
And you started.
Yeah. I also wanted to let's basically reconfirm what Andrea said. It also helps to improve the interface between the human and the technical system, because itemis has been like working on special tooling for the past 20 years, and we ended up doing a lot of domain specific tools that really enable experts that are non-programmers, but to create something that is as well structured as programming, but from an expert level. So but in order to do that, you have to know the rules of your expert language, of your domain specific language, and that is always a hurdle, because you can't just intuitively use it. You have to know that, okay, I have to use alt space to get somewhere, and if I don't know that, I don't get to use the power of the tool. And with AI, it takes away that forced learning process. So first you have to learn everything, and then you can use it. And by giving a human natural language interface, it cuts out all this painful learning process that is very often just for nerds. Yeah. So I think it eases the entry to expert tooling by giving natural language interfaces that you don't have to learn. You can just like ask me anything. Yeah. So
yeah, I think Dirk, for example, what my favorite example is like when you do the like modeling, architecture modeling with UML or SysML, and do I use the filled rhombus? Do I use the empty rhombus, etc., etc.? You forget stuff. Basically, what's the right model element to use? And that's where the mapping just is. You just tell the system, okay, the satellite has 2 batteries, and then it's doing a composition. And for Taras, it's the same thing. You say, okay, this can be attacked by, and then it picks the right association or the right link. It's not a dependency, it's not a composition, it might be a tag link. And because we not only do we need right now, we need methodology expert, we need domain experts, methodology experts, and tool experts. And the AI can reduce basically the threshold of what you need to know. And I think so because I'm also really much a tooling guy, I think it will also, I would expect it will revolutionize the tooling area, because implementing like graphical editors, etc., for Tara, etc., is horribly expensive, and also very tedious for large models. And I think we will have leaner user interfaces in the future, which will then also lend themselves to be used by other AI systems. So we will have integrations of AI, the entire agentic AI buzzword area.
Let's yeah, totally agree with you, Andreas. Let's talk about more use cases, because I want to get a few more use cases in before we go into Q&A. Obviously, my dog is not so happy.
Not enough attention. No, they are the same. Never enough attention.
So let's talk about vulnerability management. Where do you guys see opportunities there?
Yeah, as we mentioned before, there are already like thousands of vulnerabilities out there, which I basically have to get a sense of what's relevant to me and my specific hardware-software combination. And on top of that, there is like 100+ new vulnerabilities every day. So how to get a sense of what's really relevant for me, and relevant means what has an impact on the risk level of my product. Yeah, and I think if you've been working in cybersecurity your whole life, then you have a sense, and you know what to look at and what not to look at. But with more and more products being affected, there are not so many experts out there that can have a good sense of that. So how do I enable non-experts to get into the topic and do some pre-evaluation for me? And as we said, ultimately the question is, does a vulnerability will it lead to an actual attack? So is it something that's exploitable? And if it is exploitable, does it in my particular setting change the risk level? And there are multiple steps to basically get to that point, and these multiple steps are very tedious because it's about realizing relationships, and these relationships are not formalized. So I basically have to create these relationships, and this is where I think AI can really help to speed up the system and get a better quality. And that's my long term. I mean, we have to solve this long term because of the lifespan of our product. So we have to support this over multiple years, sometimes 10 or 20 years. So it's an ongoing process. So I have my old products and I get my new products. So the workload is getting higher and higher. And so this is where I really have to get my act together. I'm not sure if I'm still online because
yeah, you are
frozen.
My video is frozen, and John
is dealing with his dog.
John is having a security incident with his dog, basically. Yeah. No. Yeah, but Dirk, what I mean, taking over, just a question. What do you think right now, if we have an audience here that is mostly security related and the security background? What do you think? What should people do right now with terms in AI? Should they learn AI? Should they be scared that AI is taking their jobs? What is our future? Our outlook on our own work, basically, Dirk, as security experts? And John, what are you thinking? Basically,
maybe there's maybe I can give an example what it feels like to me with having a navigation system in the car. So it's been a couple of years, but when I first started using a navigation system, I actually used the navigation system when I didn't need it, just to see what kind of recommendations I get. And because I was familiar with the environment, I got an immediate sense whether it's a good recommendation or not. So I think using AI as a co-pilot or someone doing things with me and getting a sense of what does the AI recommend, how does it react to prompts, where is it confident, where do answers depend on the underlying training data. I think getting a sense of what you can expect and where it works fine and where it doesn't work fine. I think this is very important, and it can depend on so many things, like you mentioned already, on the data quality, or do I have many examples for this or not? Is what particular technology am I in? But I think my general recommendation is start using it, but look at it critically. is it a good recommendation or is it not a good recommendation? Because only then I can determine how granular the steps are in that co-piloting. Do I have to really check every small step, or is there a certain area where I can like chain a couple of queries and I know I get something very reliable? And that's a very individual solution or experience. Maybe the same is true for a navigation system. So depending on how good my map details are, that might depend on the country, or whether it's a city or the countryside, or whether the map is a bit older or newer. I think you have to get a sense of what to expect, because only then you can determine for your workflow where AI can really help you to shortcut certain steps. So I thought that was a very impactful realization that it really depends, and this "it really depends" is something you have to figure out. That's not only true for TARAs or security, but my recommendation is really try it with your current workflow and with your environment and with your tech stack, because only then you will get a sense of where you can trust the AI and how granular your tasks have to be, and how much human in the loop is really required.
And Andreas, can you repeat the question again? I
was just thinking about, because we already have been talking a little bit of AI and the implication, and I was asking Dirk, what if you are the audience is a lot of security persons. How do I get my hands on in the AI? How do I jump on the bandwagon? What should I do? Should I be concerned that AI is taking my work in the next 3 to 4 years? And that was just to spend the time while you were shortly away, John, basically. But
apologies there.
No problem. Maybe it's already too early in this discussion, but I think that's a very, very interesting question also in terms of organization. So if you are a company in the field of cybersecurity right now, how do I set up my organization to work with the AI? What skills do I need in the future?
Yeah, but I from my point of view, do not be scared of change. This is not an AI topic. The whole thing is we as humans need to continue learning. If the only thing you should be fearful of is falling behind, and I would say just continue learning, continue moving forward, continue investing in yourself. Doesn't matter if it's AI or automation, or you can even do requirements management, but I would probably leave that alone for now, but keep learning. Right? The point is AI is going to continue to develop. Before we know it, tomorrow, AI probably will invent something new, and we're going to have to move on to that new technological thing. The speed of the industry is changing. So don't be scared. Take baby steps. Watch YouTube videos. Do LinkedIn learning or whatever you can. Just get your hands on something. Try it out. See how it works best for you. Just so you know, I can't code for anything. Actually, when I was in college, when I was in the university, I started off in computer science. And then I couldn't freaking understand why pointers worked. And ultimately, I decided to become an engineer and do software drivers and so on. But now I can really take my knowledge of what I believe needs to work and how it needs to work. And that is now translated into code using vibe coding and stuff like this. Just tell it what you want to do and work with it. Just try it, So I think just like Dirk was saying, jump in, don't be scared. AI is a good thing. And we just need to see how it works best for us. So, I would like to answer some of the questions that we have. And at the end of this, I would like to make some recommendations as well. So let me just ask a few questions here that we had from the audience. One of the questions is, I currently work with both AI and automotive cybersecurity in different ways. I like what Dirk said about Tara. Tara is a big part of automotive cybersecurity, but I'm curious if you were able to automate any part of the process of Tara today, what would it be? And I think we touched on this a little bit, Dirk, the threat catalog, the relationship building, and so on. But would you like to answer this?
I mean, this is work in progress, yeah. But I think the important part is to really look at the individual steps. So I don't think there's a magic button, and depending on where your challenges are, I mean, some have, let's say, for some, the documentation of the existing systems is not there or is not formalized. So my big step might be how do I get like 50 PowerPoint slides that are not formalized into something that consists of data flows and elements and something and mapping of functions. So it really depends on your starting point. So we think of it of advanced assistance. So really a co-pilot for individual steps within the Tara tool. So helping you with the system elements, helping you with detecting damage scenarios, helping you to create threat scenarios, and finding the relationship between the damage scenarios and the threat scenarios. So it's really looking at co-pilot type of assistance in the individual steps. What I don't think will be possible anytime soon is the magic button. Yeah. So here is my enterprise architect model. Please give me the risk levels. So because I would then have to answer the question, how did I get there, and why is this important and this not important? So whatever we do, we should maintain this human in the loop experience, because I need to explain why something is relevant or not. So not the magic big here's the input and here's your risk level output, but assisting the individual steps and allowing the human in the loop to look at it and say, does it make sense? So for me, it's advanced assistance in the individual steps for the Tara process.
And Dirk, maybe to add on that, so how do we get there is, I would recommend do your security analysis, do your Tara based on a formal meta model, like indicated by OpenExam or something like that. Refrain from, I would say, free text, basically, and also like the Excel tables are limited. Why I'm saying that? Because if you have a formal model, which is basically to some degree comparable to the entire knowledge graph discussion that's currently very, very trendy, then you have a formal representation of your Tara, which the LLM or the AI can even better reason on. If it's reasoning, now it gets philosophical, but whatever, can better work on as compared to non-formal representations. So I don't know if everyone in the audience already does it, but use a tool that has a formal representation or formal editing, a model of the Tara, and create it with that. Then you're laying the groundwork for adding a layer of AI that will probably be more reliable and be more efficient and less of a hassle if you don't do it tool-based.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point.
Yeah.
AI is not here to replace, it's here to support. You're still going to need the competencies as an engineer to make the right decisions. Has AI prepared me the right data? We still need to be human in the loop. And I think it's really important to mention that, listen, AI is not going to solve every problem. So don't introduce AI to something that's already solved. don't create more problems where you don't need a solution. Try to use what's existing. And I think Terra is a great example of where we have opportunities to improve. So, one of the questions in the chat, and a lot of people are asking this, is of course regulation. And I'm not sure if you guys are the experts in regulation here, but we have the EU AI Act being discussed right now. Do you guys have any insights here about how the EU AI Act is going to, present challenges or provide security? What's going on here?
So I would say that the use cases that we just discussed, I would say they don't apply to what is called in the EU AI Act prohibited systems or high risk systems. We are not controlling like banking, finance, etc. But we are making suggestions. And let's say on a very high level, the EU AI Act then requires you to if you provide such an AI system, to provide technical documentation, provide information how you trained your models. You might also want to have to do model evaluations, adversarial testing, etc. Also, you need to provide or discuss how you protected your AI itself from being open to cybersecurity attacks. So, on a very high level, and just on this approach or on this level discussion, I think it requires you to ask or to answer a lot of questions that your customers would ask anyway. Basically, I mean, you want to rely on the model. I think one of the interesting things that would be need to discuss, and that's a total different track than for implementations, is because the EU AI Act also has some leniency for free and open license models. Basically, it's a little bit you need less documentation. But that would also be then the question, and or for us as tool providers, is which AI do we use as a basis, basically, and that would also have some effects. But that itself is totally would warrant another hour, basically, of discussions, basically. Yeah.
I mean. So, my 2 cents on that topic, and I totally agree, Andreas, but I think the EU has to be mindful of the effects, and while this is all well intended and might make sense on an objective level, the question is, what is the response of the potential users? If you don't understand what the consequences are, and you are so scared of violating any rules that might then later lead to high fines, etc., and then the result is that you don't use it. Yeah. So AI advances are great in the US, and AI advances are great in, let's say, China. And if the reputation of the EU is that the only thing that are great advances are the regulation of AI, then it's the wrong message. So it shouldn't. I mean, look at what's required. Most of it makes sense, but the regulation doesn't solve a problem. Yeah, and we just have to be careful that we don't overdo it, because sometimes in the EU we tend to overdo it on the regulation part. That this not only prohibits us to develop new, let's say, core AI technology, but when we start to not use it to improve our daily life and not to get the efficiency benefits that we could get and that we really need because we are scared of the AI Act, then that would be very sad. Yeah.
Right. It should enable.
It should enable and not let scare us away. Yeah.
Yeah, but in addition, I mean, also for the use cases we just discussed, I mean, we need to obviously make sure that the AI is compliant. but a lot of this is of the AI Act is also making sure that how is AI used, like for assessing personal health issues, work performance, legal situations, etc. And that doesn't apply in our use case. We are just saying you might want to look at this threat because it seems related to your system. And I think there it makes sense to actually provide the end users with good documentation on what your AI can do and what to expect, basically. But we are far away from let's say, the critical applications of AI that could affect personal lives.
But I think that's an interesting topic, Andreas. Like, do you see in the future that your suppliers, that you want to know where AI has been used potentially in the product development?
No, I don't think in the product development, basically, but if you have a tool, basically, so I mean, if I develop it like with the code, like do vibe coding, basically, and there is a final product, then I might not want to know which product it is. But for example, if you buy a tool that has an AI-based assistant, obviously, simplest thing is, does it do online connection to Google Gemini, or is the model locally? Does it stay in the EU? Is the model deployed maybe on-site, etc., etc.? And then you would, I think, want to know, okay, what is maybe the model used, or at least the capabilities of the model? I'm not sure that that the customer needs to know or wants to know that the system, the final Tara, is then developed with the help of AI. But the person that, or let's say the customer that buys the system, has probably questions about the AI. The minimum question is, where does my data go, and how do I host it?
I was thinking more about if certain AI models or large language models have specific security flaws or poisoning, or, and this gets into the security of the models themselves.
Totally, exactly. That goes, and that's also something that where the EU AI Act requests you to document and how you protect yourself against data poisoning or cybersecurity attacks, basically. And I mean, that is I think also that is a totally valid question, also from the customer perspective. And I mean, right now with the CRA, we are also expecting higher security requirements on all software, basically. It's not a surprise, basically. And it's also just something that you really need to think of when building an AI system.
Yep. And we've heard about AI bombs and stuff like this.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
totally.
I think we're going to have to save that topic for the next webinar, because we're already an hour and 15 minutes in almost. And, we have to do some work today, right? Especially also the people listening to this, who we appreciate you guys being online with us this time. But I think it's time to wrap up and bring this to a close. So before we close today, Dirk, do you have any closing comments from your side?
Closing comments. I think this is a very exciting time, and don't be scared. Yeah? So see it as a helper and not someone that's going to replace you. So embrace the change and enjoy the ride. I have so many wow moments every week where I realize how helpful this can be. And I think it doesn't really matter where in that cybersecurity process you are, whether it's on the requirement side or the code side or the Tara side. You will find super helpful aspects, and it's fun. Yeah. So don't be afraid. Just enjoy the ride.
All right. Thanks, Dirk. And Andreas, closing remarks?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not yet. I don't have a final opinion where this will take us. Probably nobody has. If you're going to reach a plateau soon, and then find out that we need a totally different approach of AI. But I also think we are witnessing some great technology shifts right now, and from a geeky or nerdy point of view, it's a really exciting time, and dive into it. It's really interesting checking out the various capabilities of the tools. Also, don't just my also 2 cents. Also try out like the European tools, Mistral. So if you're in Europe, don't only use the big players. There's also alternatives that comply to European standards. That would be also something that I highly value and am interested in.
All right. And then just quickly from my side, the same. I can only mirror and repeat what these guys have said. The point is, get involved. It's never too late. There's also open source models. You can actually run the models on your own home computer these days. Just be involved in the technology itself. There's plenty of space for everybody to be active. It's not going to replace you if you keep learning. So be a part of it, be flexible. There's so many cool things. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day to play with all of this. My work is so exciting these days because I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's a solution. Oh, yeah, there is already. So, or someone else is doing, threat modeling based on AI, or training models with previous cybersecurity related data. I mean, there's so many cool things going on. Lots of interesting stuff in academics as well. Just get involved. So, and I'm sure, Dirk and Andreas, that they're working at itemis. You're more than welcome to reach out to them, probably on LinkedIn or something. Also reach out to me if you guys have any questions. I'm looking forward to see what you guys produce in the future using AI. So as I said before, we really appreciate you guys being here with us today. Thank you, Dirk. Thank you, Andreas, for being here and talking about AI. And
thanks for having us.
Of course, guys. And look, come back to ASRG. We have so many things going on, so many different projects. Andreas mentioned today open exam. We have some interesting stuff going on there with the next generation called the Risk Data Exchange Format, RDX. Also, we are doing threat modeling. There is all kinds of different projects going on right now. Also, new Discord, new ASRG portal coming out soon. Check back. All right. So, guys, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
And with that, we will end the session for today. Bye, everyone.
Bye.